اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. اللهم اجعلنا من أنصاره وأعوانه. So we were still in the chapter slash part 4 of the book of Mikyal. Excuse me. Which, as I mentioned, and you have seen, it's a long chapter, but very informative, very interesting, educational, I would say. There are, chapter 4 can be called as a Mahdawiya course by itself because it talks a lot about different qualities and special merits of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, which is really interesting. But don't forget why the author is mentioning those. The reason is what basically those it becomes incumbent on us to pray for him, salawatullah alayh. So with that, let's get it started. There are a lot of content to cover today. So we will go over them, inshallah. The other, we were in the this subsection of personality traits. So one of the other things that Sahib Mikyal mentions is the fulfilling the needs of the believers. Imam alayhi salam is helping, sometimes anonymously, sometimes people know him and recognize him, helping Shias and non-Shias, as we're going to see some stories, to fulfill their needs, what their needs are, their requests are, and all. So the author mentions a story about himself 3 years before he compiled this book, Mikyal, which he says, I had compiled a lot of debts and there was no way that I could pay them off. And I one Ramadan, I asked Imam alayhi salam for help and for his attention and all. So he mentions this story when he saw the Imam alayhi salam in his dream and said, be patient, very soon your needs will be fulfilled. And then he says after a few months, if I'm not mistaken, one of our friends came and basically helped me to pay my debts. Sahib Mikyal mentions another general note from the Imams of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, which I have brought it here from Imam Hadi alayhi salam, which as a general note, the Imams, salawatullah alayhim, they are the helpers. They fulfill the needs of the believers. The narrator says, I wrote to Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam that, and which is a very interesting question. Sometimes we have this question. He says, I wrote that and I asked a person, someone inclines, like to mention his special needs and secrets to his Imam. Just like not worshipping, but talking and expressing those to Allah, to the Lord. Is that okay? Imam alayhi salam wrote back to me and said, just move your lips in a speech. Just say it. That's absolutely okay. Because we talked about this, the Imams alayhi salam, they are the representatives, they are the eyes of God, they are the face of God. So Imam says, yes, do that. Again, I want to repeat this. The discussions we have today has two angles, two aspects. One is getting to know more about the Imam alayhi salam, and in light of that, someone that is continuously fulfilling the needs, helping others, supporting them, shouldn't we pray for him? Remember these two aspects. I don't want to repeat that. There is a quote from Sahib Mikyal, again, I wanted to bring. He mentions that there are many traditions on this matter, but again, because of the being in, summary, we don't want to go over them. So more than what we cover here are mentioned in the book itself, and more than that is in other books of hadith. There is a beautiful story. I found it interesting and wanted to share. Stories are good, right? Which, as a summary, story of a deaf and mute person from South China, Machin. I don't know. South China was good. Is good. Myanmar or Burma. So if you look at the book of Mikyal, I gave you the reference, page 253, volume 1 in the English. So it's a very beautiful story how that person, which I'm gonna talk about a little bit. Actually, I did some research. I was interested. There is a Shia mosque in that city, Maulamain, something like that, which if you look at the Bihar, it's there because it's from the main source in Jannatul Ma'wa. They mentioned the name of the city, but because I think mispronunciation, it was little hard to find. But I did that just for those that are interested. Let me change. Oh, no. I think I can do this. Where that city is. So this is in, oh my God. Always we have this problem here, right? I think friends online can see that, right? Let me.
Yes, we can see the map.
Yeah, let me try. So I have to. Here, you see the city? That's where the city is. A Shia, originally from what city? Shiraz. He was in that area, but actually born and raised over there in Melumin or Maulamain. Just see how the distance was. So he says, so you found, I just wanted to show the place and then we can go back to the masjid, that there is a minority of Shia still there in that city. And you know, in the past, this is historical information, people, they traveled and they spread the word of Ahlul Bayt all around the world. So specifically from the city of Shiraz, for some reason there were Tujjar, the businessmen, that they traveled to the east and west, to Africa, you know, in Tanzania, those places we have a lot, and literally they are called now Shirazis, like they are, it goes back 400, 500 years ago. They don't speak Farsi, they lost the heritage, just the name. And also to the west, to Indonesia, to South China and all. So anyway, he says, I mean, he was sick with some sickness, and as a result, he lost his voice, ability to talk, and ability to hear. And then it was 1 year before the age of the Sahib Mikyal was born, like 1299 Hijri. So he says, they got a ship like back, what they call it, like those ships that they take a while to travel over sea, and then come to India, Kolkata, that city, and then from there all the way to Baghdad. And then he was like, the family, because he was deaf and mute, waited. It's interesting, like these fun facts. So they couldn't go to Samarra because they had to wait for river to raise so the ships can move north. For those that they have been in Samarra and Iraq. So it says we waited, and then the river raised, and then we were able to go, and basically did a lot of tawassul and to Imam alayhi salam. And in Sardab, he suddenly saw that he now is able to talk, and he got his shifa back. Then they took him to who? Mirza Shirazi, who was, as you know, migrated from Najaf to Samarra to establish Hawza in Samarra and to check and verify and all. So he read the Surah Al-Fatiha in front of him. And the interesting thing is, in the book of Mikyal, you will see there was a alim, Mullah Abbas Zunuzi Baghdadi, who happened to be with them in the ship from Baghdad to Samarra. And he witnessed the entire thing, that this guy was mute and he was sick and all, and he came to Samarra. So he wrote a poem about this incident. So that's like, I thought that's cool to mention and go to some more details. But the full poem is in Mikyal. وفي عامها جئت والزائرين إلى بلدة سر من قد رآها رأيت من الصين فيها فتى وكان سمي إمام هداها. His name was Muhammad Mahdi, the guy. Yes, it's beautiful poem, those that they like Arabic poetry. Anyway, so back to the point, there are many examples that Imam alayhi salam, they fulfill the needs of people, Shias and non-Shias, as we're gonna see other stories today, inshallah. So the other topic among the personality traits, supplication of His Eminence for the believers. So in the book of Mikyal, the story from Imam Rida alayhi salam is mentioned, which is interesting. The Musa ibn Sayyar, if I'm not, yes, Musa ibn Sayyar, he was accompanying Imam Rida alayhi salam when he was traveling to Tus and Khurasan. And he says a story which is interesting. We entered a city and someone was dead. He passed away. And Imam alayhi salam, I saw him that he is going, praying for him and giving glad tidings to that person to paradise. Even he put his hand on his chest and said, as if he knew that person. I was shocked. I asked Imam that, how come? Like, imagine someone just, I don't know, walks in a random city and someone is dead, say, oh yeah, this, that, may Allah forgive your mom, for example, and help you, I take care of it, as if he was a close friend. So of course people will be shocked and amazed, like, what's going on? So even someone like Musa, he asked that, how come? Did you know this person? You never been in this city. This is your first time. You're from Medina and now you're in Tus. Imam said, oh, Musa ibn Sayyar, don't you know that we mentioned this in the couple of weeks before when we were talking about the fact that the Imams, they see our deeds. Don't you know that the deeds of our Shias are presented to us? And we pray for them when we see the shortcomings, and we ask for reward for them when they see the good deeds. So Imam alayhi salam, and we have a lot of examples from previous Imams and from Imam Mahdi alayhi salam as well. One famous story which I was amazed when I saw that Sahabi Mikyal mentioned it. Not a surprise though. Is about Rumayla, which is one of the companions of Amir al-Mu'mineen. He says, I mean, I used to go to Masjid al-Kufa to attend the Friday and actually daily prayers when Amir al-Mu'mineen was leading the Salah. So I وعكت وعكة شديدا, if I remember correctly. He says, I got very, very, very sick. So I was not able to go for days and weeks. And anyway, one day I felt a little, I feel better. So I said, okay, what is better than I get up, fresh up, and just make wudu and go to Masjid al-Kufa to see my master Amir al-Mu'mineen and to attend his prayers. So when I went there, Imam said, oh, you came back, you feel better, you were so sick and all. And I said, how come? You know, I just was randomly absent. I didn't text or mention anything. I just disappeared. Imam said, Rumayla, what do you think about us? You think we are just, again, I'm paraphrasing, of course, like other people? Then how come Allah chose us to be Imam? When someone is an Imam, Imam means the leader, the godly, the divinely appointed leader, not like our leader. So they see, they know, they are aware of the affairs of the people that they are leading, and they're their Imams and all. So you are not sick unless we are sickened by your sickness and we are unhappy with your unhappiness and all. So, and we pray for you. So with that, the story of Rumayla I mentioned, there is the next one. We go a little fast today. There are, again, a story of our every week, right? So there are a lot of different traits that the author mentions, but we just skip, and then I just picked some of them to go over them in the class today. The next one, before we change the topic, is Imam alayhi salam be the helper, the relief, the ghawth. Ghawth in Arabic means relief. And again, I want to point out to this, beside the fact that because of that perfection and quality, we have to pray for the Imam alayhi salam, but also we should remember and act upon it, be connected. In Wal-Ghawth wal-Rahmatul Wasi'ah, we say it in which ziyarah? Ziyarah Ali Yasin, right? We call Imam, which that ziyarah is taught by Imam himself, salawatullahi alayh. Wal-Ghawth wal-Rahmatul Wasi'ah wa'adan ghayra makdhub. So Imam is the ghawth and the helper and the relief of mankind, not only Shias. So there is another beautiful story which is known as Yaqut Dahan. So what was his business? Arabs, friend? Huh? Oiler. Oiler, that's how you call it? Oiler. Oil sales. Okay, yeah. Yeah, Dahan, see? That's what I... Oh, really? Oh. Anyway, who was in the business of selling and buying oils. So what he used to do is, or not oil, but like fats, animal fats that you can cook with. Not back then it was not car oil or oil change, camel oil change station. So he used to go in the deserts and see the tribes and all, and to buy cheap original animal fat from them and bring and sell in the cities. And he was a Sunni. His father and his entire tribe, they were Sunni, but his mom was Shia. But he says, I lean towards my father, and I was raised Sunni. So he has a very beautiful story, which again, I want to spend some time talk about it, and then maybe you can read in details. He says in one of my trips, I mean trips going in the desert and buying oil or fat and bringing, we were with the group and we went, and all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, we were on our way back. Long story short, I was left alone. They left me. I fell asleep and didn't wake up, and the group doesn't wait for a person. They moved, and I ended up being alone in desert. I mean, of course, with the shortage of water, and lost the path and all. So I was Sunni. I started calling Allah for help, asking Him for by prophet, and maybe and He says that by His successor's name to help me. But
I think that was a traditional belief.
I mean, it is not Wahhabis. It's before Wahhabism. So yeah, we sometimes even we see nowadays in Mecca. So I have some stories mentioned later. Anyway,
Sorry, how far down the line did they go for successor?
just at least the first three, of course. So anyway, so nothing happened. All of a sudden, I remembered that my mom, who was a Shia, this is interesting, told me or had taught me in my childhood, son, we believe we have a living Imam. So wherever you are in desperate need, call upon him. He comes and help you. So we are not left alone. So suddenly I remembered what my mom had told me. And then I started calling that person that my mom told me. Long story short, someone came and helped me and said, come, aren't you lost? Follow me. And we arrived sooner than others to our city. And they were shocked how I arrived. And then the Imam alayhi salam told me to be Shia, and gave me basically some advice, like do this, do that, and be Shia. When I entered the city, I went to Sayyid Mahdi Qazwini, and I asked him to teach me the basically Shia traditions. And I said, I met the Imam. He saved me, not just helped, he saved me from death. And he advised me to be Shia, go back to your mother's religion, and then now I want to learn. And then Said Mahdi Ghazwini taught him the Shia traditions and all. So this is interesting. He said, I was like, I miss that man. I want to see him again. Is there any way that I can meet the Imam again? So he told me that, yeah, go to Ziyarat of Imam Hussein 40 weeks, Thursday nights, Friday eves, and you will see the Imam. So he mentions that I started doing that because I was so eager to do so. And the last Thursday eve, they closed the entrance of Karbala, and they were asking for bataqa. Like sometimes the hospitalities of back then Iraqis will not work so well. So and no one, I tried to smuggle, just go, no. They caught me, they said, go back. And then all of a sudden, I saw among the crowd, the Imam that I knew, that I met, he saved me. He came and said, Yaqut, come with me. Without any check, we went all the way to Ziyarah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And after that, so Imam, I asked Imam, let me bring that point, which is really interesting in the story of Yaqut Dahan. He of course has all these details. I skipped those, like name of the cities and all. So when I asked Imam alayhi salam to stay with me and all, he said there are like thousands of people that they are in need, they are calling me. I have to go and basically take care of them. And then again, this story, Yaqut Dahan, is very famous, even for those that they know Farsi. I have seen a couple of plays they acted. I tried to, but that's all Farsi, so I thought that might be so of benefit. But I can share. It's beautiful the way that they narrated and they acted, they played. The way that Imam alayhi salam helped a non-Shia, a Sunni person who was lost, who called upon his name, so he helped and he was the helper. Any comment, any question? We're gonna shift the gears to, same personality traits, but different topic, which will be very, inshallah, interesting. Any comments, any question in the chat? No. All right. So the next, yes.
This might be a loaded question, so I apologize if you want to shift it to later, but how do we as regular people reconcile with the fact that we may not understand the answers that the Imam gives back to us, or that we feel like we've not responded?
That's a
Just
very...
put myself on the spot. I talk to him. It's not just, Imam, no, I sit there, I talk, just, you go into that conversation. But I'm not going to say the Imam doesn't respond. I guess it would be more appropriate to say that I do not understand the response I'm getting. So, I'm not any of these people. How do I reconcile as a normal person with that?
That's a great question. Any thoughts before I share my thoughts? Feel free. Yes.
What comes to my mind is the story of Anwar al-Basri. When the Imam first didn't accept him, Imam Salih, and then Anwar immediately started reflecting, like, what have I done wrong that this person would say, like, no, go away, and not accept him.
Okay, interesting. Yes, that's a good point. Anwar al-Basri's story and the way Imam intentionally to help him recognize and go back and check on himself, didn't accept him in the first place. Any other thoughts? So, honestly, it's my personal opinion and answer here. I think one of the most, and again, don't take it personal or anyone, this is one of the things that we see, and we have the verse of Quran supporting that. Being desperate is also a key, meaning that what is the ayah in Quran? I want to start from the verse of the Quran. So when they were, let me bring the ayah. حتى إذا استيأس الرسل وظنوا أنهم قد كذبوا جاءهم نصرنا فنجي من نشاء حتى إذا استيأس الرسل. So even the prophets, when they were desperate, they felt like we are done, we are doomed. I'm about to give up. I'm not saying go and put yourself in that spot, but sometimes we reserve Imam as a last option, right? We do other things, other people, other means, and then at the last we go to Imam. But two other points, that one, what Brother Faisal said, I think that's a very important here, and that the way we receive the answer is not necessarily the way that we want. I know usually the highlighted stories that we go over are like immediate response, which they are usually what the people were desperate. But like in that, the story of the death of the Sahib Mikyal himself, he said, Imam told me, just be patient, right? The ways, the support and the help and the relief is there, but the way may not be the way that we want or we think there should be. And that's true about God as well. Like how I said this example many times, you may have heard from me, that when we ask Allah, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم, or guide me, or help me, or show me something, what do we expect to happen? Then we see, oh, he helped me. Yeah, in rare occasions may something miraculous happen, and then I don't know, the ceiling opens and someone comes down and say, okay, come with me, or do this or do that. Or no, sometimes I'm reading a book which I had not planned for, and all of a sudden, it not necessarily a religious book, it might be some other books, I see my answer, I get something, I happen to encounter someone that is helping me and is just guiding me without, as I said, Imam alayhi salam, a lot of times, or actually most of the times, anonymously is taking care of people without them knowing the fact, because for a lot of wisdoms. So I don't know if that helped, but that's a couple of aspects that we can mention in that, about that question, which is a very valid and very tangible, like we can feel it, right? I can share a lot of stories personally that, yeah, we asked and then nothing happened, and then all of a sudden things happen that I said, I'm happy that you didn't respond those that I asked earlier, because now I see the big picture after the fact. I realized, thank you for not listening to me, and thank you being smart and wise, not doing what I asked. So with that, we go to another chapter or another topic, which is about the perfections of Imam alayhi salam, the kamalat. And in that, we're gonna talk about the similarities of Imam alayhi salam with prophets, which is really interesting point. But before that, I want to read this quote from the book, which is, I think it's very nice of Sahib Mikyal, who wrote these lines. So I brought it here. Anyone can read for us, please? It's kind of a preface why we are going to talk about these topics that we are going to talk.
Actions of his eminence. If you encounter a man who possesses excellences and is struggling with problems and difficulties, your conscience impels you to step forward and offer assistance, doing what you can to lend him support. And if you are unable to do so, it is important to pray for his success and deliverance. By doing this, you will develop feelings of affection and sincerity towards him. Reflecting on this point, I would like to say that our leader, His Eminence, the master of our age, may Allah hasten his reappearance, encompasses all fronts of perfection. He has attained the highest stages of elegance and awe. However, he still faces problems and oppositions from misguided people, which force him to stay away from his people, family, and homeland.
Okay, so that's the preface that he writes when he goes to this section talking about the resemblance of Imam alayhi salam with the prophets. So you saw his argument, but now he goes to details of the perfections like kamalat, specialties or resemblance between Imam Mahdi with prophets, which is really, really interesting topic, in my opinion. How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala managed things that happen in the history and then gathered them all in one person. It shows the importance of that person. It shows the level, special honor and place of that person. And yet how much we should care and be connected and pray and all for that individual. So in the book, in the English PDF or in the hard copy, page 281, that chapter or that subsection start that he goes over the shabahat, resemblance, of Imam to prophets. So he names 33 prophets. Naming them, I mean, we are not in workshop, but we could do that. Just give out papers and say, okay, first of all, write the names of prophets that you know. How many prophets can you name? Going to all these schools and classes and lectures and all. Ballpark, 10, 15 the most, right? Okay, how many of them you can say the perfections or specialties that they had are with Imam Mahdi alayhi salam? Let's do that like quickly to break the nap of Sunday morning of some friends. Okay, Prophet Musa, I start with the easy one and the hard ones for you. Prophet Musa was born anonymous and hidden. The pregnancy of the mom was hidden. No one saw any sign of pregnancy. Imam Mahdi the same. What else?
Unbelieving uncle.
Very good. Prophet Ibrahim had an unbelieving uncle. He mentions that, so I will Mikyal. What else?
Prophet Nuh.
Yes.
Sorry, someone is talking. I didn't.
I think you said exactly the same, but you go ahead.
Okay.
Zahra, go ahead.
I said Prophet Nuh because everyone was, declined his and sorry. So it was like the thing is happening and then it doesn't happen, and then some believers go away from the prophet, and it happened multiple times that
Yes.
was like a promise of God but didn't happen. So
Yes. Actually, Brother Faisal mentioned other things about Prophet Nuh, which both of them are true. Longevity, the long life, and also the fact that the promise of God didn't come to reality and happen for a long time. Like that was also, and then people gave up, as Sister Zahra mentioned. I think that's interesting. People gave up. Yes. So that's the difference. But you got the right prophet. So if you continue that story, two things in the story of Prophet Yunus that can be resemblance. But what Sister Bushra mentioned was basically the honor of Imam Mahdi over Prophet Yunus. He has not lost his patience with his ummah, that he sees us how bad we are. No offense to anyone, myself, the worst. So, but resemblance, two things. One was ghaibah, because his people, he abandoned the people, like in the meaning that ghaibah, he was not with them. And secondly, yes, very good. When he came back, Prophet Yunus, the hadith says, because he spent long time in the body of whale, right? So his skin was lost and then very bad form in terms of like how he looked. So Allah made him look as a young person. So even though that the bad part didn't happen to Imam Mahdi, but when he came back to his people, he looked young. And that's one of the resemblance to Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, which he comes back. So inshallah, we're going to read these. It's so cool. As I said, from different angles. Still, I mean, if anyone else has anything else, share. How Allah set the precedence, gave examples in the history so people don't doubt the things about Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. Longevity. Is it possible that someone lives 1,000 years? Prophet Nuh, Muslims all agree that he was with a long life, 2,500 years. So Imam Mahdi alayhi salam right now is about 1,200 years. So Prophet Khizr alayhi salam and others. So we go, and I don't want to spoiler, but about some of the prophets, we will see the reason that Allah gave longevity to that person was nothing but to set the example for Imam Mahdi, for the promised one. So it shows the importance of our Imam. Again, we don't appreciate that Allah chose us to be born in this time and in this era, that he be our master, which for him, Allah created prophets to live long life, to set the precedence for our Imam. The hadith says, not because to be a prophet, not to have a sharia, not to this, not to this, not to, Imam mentioned all, but to set the precedence for Mahdi, the promised one. What else? Anyone can think of anything else? 33 prophets.
Oh, Prophet Jesus, like spoke at a very early age.
Yes, Prophet Jesus spoke early age, like after his, right after his birth, he talked, and we have that about Imam Mahdi. What else? Same prophet, we are in the same station. Yes, the controversy about him. Jesus alayhi salam became prophet when he was young, when he was born. And other prophets, as we're gonna name. So Imam Mahdi alayhi salam became an imam when he was at the age of 5. When people say, oh, how come, how is it possible? The precedence is there. Again, see, it was not random that Yahya, John, was prophet وَآتَيْنَاهُ الْحُكْمَ الصَّبِيَّ when he was 7, young, not young, like child, right? Kid. It was not random. It was to set the precedence down the line. Don't come and say, oh, how come the person 5-year-old can be an imam? The same way that the prophet can be a prophet. Jesus, while he just was born, he talks and he says, "Atani al-kitab wa ja'alani nabiyya." Okay, anything else before we go and read?
I could probably mention maybe Prophet Chase, in the sense that he was also like away from his, like, the normal people.
Yes, from his family. Jamil mentioned about his uncle. So that has been mentioned about Prophet Sheath, the son of Adam alayhi salam, who was the successor of the Adam. After Adam alayhi salam, long time ago, people, they gave hard time to Prophet Sheath. So he abandoned them and he went to an island, lived in an island alone, afraid of his family, because everyone else was his family on earth, right? And that happened when Imam alayhi salam, Ja'far, his uncle was against him. Okay.
Will be a sovereign, not just spiritually, but materialistically, like Sulaiman and Dawood. Yes,
Ahsan. The sovereignty and having the kingdom and having the administration, government, Prophet Sulaiman, Prophet Dawood. Ooh, we have a lot. I encourage, I mean, this is cool. Like, it's not boring when you read this hadith. Some of them, people may not be into it and say, oh, it's too much, blah, blah, blah. But these are just like stories. First of all, you will learn 33 names of prophets. And second, you see, wow, how is the connection between the Imam alayhi salam and other prophets? For example, another one, which I didn't list in my list, Hukm Dawood. So so 33 prophets, and in this shortened version of the pamphlet that I use, 60 plus resemblances have been mentioned. So of course we are not going over them, but Dawood alayhi salam was not only king with sovereignty, he had a special position in his judiciary system, which was
he would be like the judge and the jury. Like
yes, but okay,
like got witnesses and stuff like that.
So which means
yeah, knowledge of the unseen.
Hukm bi batin, meaning that Prophet Dawood alayhi salam would rule based on the truth, not based on the witness and lawyers that got paid and now manipulated the truth and all, and then the judge has nothing left just to rule by the evidences. لا يسأل عن البينة. Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, when he comes, he doesn't ask for evidence. So he ruled based on truth, which is amazing. If we think about it, how justice, the true justice, will be established on earth. In one of the hadiths, Imam says, Imam Mahdi alayhi salam will call upon someone and says, this person should be sentenced to death. He has in secret killed someone. There is no evidence, there is no proof, no blood, nothing. Clean hand. In our system, judiciary system, nowadays that person will be innocent. We don't have any evidence against you, go. Imam says no. And other way around as well. If someone, as Amir al-Mu'mineen did in examples that people, I mean, some of the evidences were against that person, Imam said no, he's innocent, so leave him alone. So yeah, that's Prophet Dawood, unique position, that Hukm Dawoodi, you may have heard about Imam Mahdi. Okay, with that, let's go to, I think I quickly reviewed some of them so we can be quick. And now the name of the prophets, you can see, I tried to list them, some of them, so we know. One of the most important ones, ghaibah, the occultation. As you know, the motivation of writing the book Ikmaluddin by Sheikh al-Saduq was this, that Imam Mahdi alayhi salam himself told Sheikh that write a book about my ghaibah. And he said, how? Imam gave him instructions. Mention the precedences from other prophets that they went to ghaibah from their people. So Allah again did that in the history so people do not think this is strange, this is weird. No, other prophets, Prophet Ilyas, Prophet Idris, Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, Prophet Musa, Prophet Sulaiman, Asif ibn Barkhiyah, his successor, Prophet Khidr, all of them. And again, if you read Kitab Kamaluddin, in more details, you will see how other prophets, they went to occultation as well in ghaibah from their people. So there are other prophets as well, which I skipped again just to go over the content. So I hope we can finish what I have prepared for today. Beautiful fact about Imam alayhi salam, yarawnahu wa la ya'rifunah. They see Imam, his occultation is not, his ghaibah is not he's in the skies or he's in the well or anywhere. No, he's living among us, but not being recognized. That's him. People see him. And the example, the precedence for that is Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. His own brothers, they saw him, they interacted with him, but they didn't recognize, oh, that's our brother. So this is a great example that how is it possible? We have the precedent. So that's perfection, that special miracle is in also Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. The third one, again, this list, this is my numbering. In this book, we have like 60 more, but 60 plus. But here, I just chose some. This is interesting and one of the beautiful ones. Hardships for his believers during his ghaibah. Not only he was in ghaibah and other prophets were in ghaibah and their people, their believers, they were living a happy life. No, during that time, their Shias, their people, they were in hardship, in calamities. They were in a so you know this, the famous story of Musa alayhi salam. Before he come and save Bani Israel, they were going through a lot of hardships, right? The tyrants, they were killing them back and forth, they were wronging them, they were oppressor and all. So, and the believers, they were under those hardships. Similarly, Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, his believers. So the thing that the Arabic phrase that you see is from an excerpt from the long hadith by Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. which is fascinating. Again, I encourage you to go and read. Imam is mentioning some of the things or situations that will happen during the time before Dhuhr, before the coming of Imam Mahdi, which is mind-blowing in terms of the corruption and broke morality system and all. We'll be amazed how Imam not predicted but foretold us, like this is gonna happen, this is this and that. So part of that is وَرَأَيْتَ الْمُؤْمِنَ مَحْزُونًا مُحْتَقَرًا ذَلِيلًا. You see believers in that time, they are saddened, they are oppressed, and they are weakened. So they are not in majority, they're not in a best position. This is a test for us, and that has not been, I mean, that had precedence. The time of Prophet Musa alayhi salam, for a couple of 100 years, his Shias basically, they were suffering. And other prophets, Prophet Daniel, Asif ibn Barkhiyah, the successor of Sulaiman, and others. So, yeah. Any question? Any comments? What time is it? Okay, let's move on. Next one, we talked about it, so I can skip when he comes back. He will be in the form and the look of youth. Prophet Yunus alayhi salam, Shu'aib, that was his their unique thing. When they came back from their ghaibah, they looked young, and Imam alayhi salam same. So longevity, we talked about it. Prophet Nuh, Prophet Khidr, Prophet Elias also is among the prophets that Allah made him live long. So the prophet that I mentioned is Prophet Khidr alayhi salam. Let's read this hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. Anyone, please?
In a report, Imam Sadiq says, and as for the righteous servant Khidr, the Almighty Allah bestowed upon him a long lifespan, not because he had made him a prophet, or because a book was revealed to him, nor because he brought a new sharia nullifying the previous one, nor because he made him an imam and required the people to follow him, nor because his obedience was compulsory. Instead, it was because it was within the knowledge of Allah that during the occultation, the age of Qa'im would be prolonged to such an extent that people would not believe it, and they would deny a long age. Therefore, he prolonged the life of the righteous servant Khidr without any justification other than it being a basis for proving the age of Qa'im.
Salawatullah alayhi. Let's recite the salawat for our Imam. I keep reading it personally, and then I'm amazed. Like, how is there a question? So, and as you know, Imam Prophet Khidr alayhi salam, we have a lot of stories about him. Again, you can go, and there are a couple of them mentioned in the book, in the Mikyal. If you go and read, why I can't find Khidr? Oh, here. About I think I mentioned, no, but you'll see in the list Prophet Khidr. The way they spell it in the Mikyal, in the English one, is with Z, Khizr. So Prophet Khidr alayhi salam is alive and is with Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, and he had, in my words, appearances during the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Amir al-Mu'minin, other Imams. There was interaction. As you know, what is one of the names of Dua Kumail? Yes, Dua al-Khidr. So when Amir al-Mu'minin is teaching Dua Kumail to Kumail, he says this is the dua that Prophet Khidr recited, and basically basically Khidr alayhi salam, this great prophet. Remember, who is Khidr? Yes. He was the teacher of Prophet Musa alayhi salam. You remember the story of Musa and Khidr? This is the same Khidr. Don't think that, oh, that was another one. So high level to the point that Musa alayhi salam couldn't afford being with him and being patient. And then, so that's another similarity that they say one of the wisdoms of his acts will be revealed later. So Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, same thing. So anyway, the prophet that Musa alayhi salam is his student, he is in service of our Imams alayhi salam. So we have a story from the time of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, how Imam Sadiq sent Khidr to help someone. He said, no, he's our, in my word, worker, like he works for us. So that person that came and helped you was Khidr, I sent him. Is a beautiful story by Dawood al-Raqi. So Raqi, yeah, Dawood al-Raqi is one of the great companions of Imam Sadiq. Search, look his name up, Dawood al-Raqi, and yes, you Faisal, I think it's very good to go and read that hadith Dawood al-Raqi, which is narrated in Manaqib ibn Shahrashub. So anyway, and he narrates from Basair, but the Basair by Sa'd ibn Abdullah, not Barqi. Yeah, we have two Basair. Anyway, yeah. Let's move on. Divine representation in his childhood, we talked about it. So Prophet Sulaiman also, that might be new. We heard of Jesus and John, Yahya, but Sulaiman also, we have the example that Dawood, he appointed him as a successor. People came and asked him questions when he was young.
Isn't Dhul-Qarnayn also
Yes.
Imam?
Yes, so I skipped that. Dhul-Qarnayn is one of the ones that his name is mentioned a couple of times in this story about his sovereignty that Jamil mentioned. One of the prophets that we can refer to is Dhul-Qarnayn, that he was dominant over East and West. So the next one, which is like one line but is very broad, the possessor of the miracles of prophets, which is interesting that all the miracles that we have heard from and we have in Quran, for example, وَأَلَنَّا لَهُ الْحَدِيدِ. For whom?
David.
Ahsan, David, Dawood, same person. So that Allah says in Quran, we soften the iron for him. So iron for him was piece of cake. Not piece of cake, cake will fall apart. Dough, right? Plain dough. What? Okay, bring me that metal. Let me just make things with that. So, which is the word of Quran. وَأَلَنَّا لَهُ الْحَدِيدِ لَيًّا. Alanna is from that root, لَيًّا. We softened iron for him. And many other miracles that other prophets has. For each of them, we have a hadith from Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam that they mentioned that, for example, this one is for, there's a story when Imam Mahdi comes, someone comes and denies him. He asks for miracle. He said, do you want me to give you miracle of Dawood? Bring the iron. This is the iron. So Imam Mahdi shows that. And other miracles, the reviving the dead. So we have examples that, again, from other prophets, and Imam Mahdi alayhi salam does that, and many others. So we have that the staff of Musa. No, as long as we are not blown up. Yeah. So I think we are about to finish. The next one, I'm going a little quick. Glad tidings about his zuhur, the prophecies, right? That وَبَشَّرْنَاهُ. When we look at the term Basharnahu, that Allah gave a lot of glad tidings to other prophets. Idris gave glad tidings that Nuh is coming after me. Nuh gave glad tidings about Hud. So all these glad tidings on the top, all of them are gathered in Imam Mahdi. That's why he's called the promised one, the one that there are a lot of bishara about him. Very good. So I think this one was mentioned, I think by you or someone else, hard tests about for the believers, Noah and the long patience, that it's not only longevity. As I said, there were a lot of back and forth in that time, and we mentioned that, so we can move forward. The hidden pregnancy of mom, that was for Prophet Musa alayhi salam. Again, these are all beautiful, that how we're gonna actually discuss this in the adl topic, that Imam says in one of the hadiths related to the decree of God, people, they wanted to kill Musa, but Allah decreed that he will be saved. And this is hakadha amri, same for me, that all the tyrants, like during the time of Musa, they brought Imam Mahdi from Medina to Samarra, put him under house arrest, watch the ladies, whoever is pregnant will be go and check and blah blah. In the very same house, Imam Mahdi alayhi salam was born, and they couldn't do nothing. So again, we have the precedents from other imams, from other prophets. So with that, I wanted to go back to the first reminder that the author Ridwanullahi alayhi had in his book, that remember or imagine someone that has one excellence, possesses one excellence. Like, joke aside, like if we have a sheikh in our community that we know that he possessed one of these 60 traits, one of these 60 perfections of the prophet, we will worship that person. Let's be honest. And yet we are not paying the due attention to Imam alayhi salam, who is the possessor of all those perfections. Rather, Allah gave some of the prophets those special positions to show and to set the precedence for his promised one, Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. So inshallah, these, beside the fact that I hope we learned something new about our Imam and be more proud and honored to have him as our Imam, it makes us more motivated to pray for him, salawatullahi alayhi, and be connected with him. So with that, if we can close our discussion. If there is any question, any comment, anyone has anything? Officially, we still have 4 or 5 minutes because we reserved 15 minutes, even though we started 5-6 minutes late. Anything anyone has?
You mentioned when we're talking about Prophet Noah, you mentioned 2,500 years. So is the 950 that I mentioned in the Quran, is that in his
Prophethood. He became prophet when he was old enough. Everything had the factor, right? Yes. لبث في قومه 950. Not he, no, not he lived. No. His prophethood was that. So in the hadith, we have his age as 2,500. Yeah. All right. So let's recite the dua that we talked about, the dua from Imam Rida alayhi salam in the qunut of Friday noon Dhuhr prayer. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. اللهم أصلح عبدك وخليفتك بما أصلحت به أنبياءك ورسلك وحفه بملائكتك وأيده بروح القدس من عندك واسلكه من بين يديه ومن خلفه رصدا يحفظونه من كل سوء وأبدله من بعد خوفه أمنا يعبدك لا يشرك بك شيئا ولا تجعل لأحد من خلقك على وليك سلطانا وأذن له في جهاد عدوك وعدوه واجعلني من أنصاره إنك على كل شيء قدير. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.